Okay, we have a quorum at 7:01, so I will call this meeting to order. We know it's being recorded. Thanks everyone for making it this month. And the first thing we have on the agenda is the approval of consent agenda items. Which should be in the packet back there if you just want to, or look that early in the agenda. Do we have any concerns or notes to make about any of the consent agenda items? I'm gonna look over the minutes real quick. Robin, any notes from you from anything in here?
No, everything's pretty much normal for this time of year.
Okay, I would welcome a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, second. Second for Monica. Anyone who's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Consent agenda is approved. We will move on to comments from observers. We do have an observer. Welcome again. Welcome back. Would you like to say anything at this point?
I do.
Please do.
Share some comment.
That would be
My
great.
name is Angeline Frey. I'm a retired resident of the township, lived here for 40 years. And my concern is very small, but it represents quite a handful of people involved with the library. And it's the abolition of the True Crafter program that was dropped since last fall. It's missed so much that the participants continued meeting at another location, mainly Panera at the Galleria, which is extremely sad comment. It's not a location that suits itself to crafting, noisy, small tables, no sewing machine, no electric outlets. We have everything here. Is it a staffing issue? Can we ask that a librarian who is enthused with the arts be given the project to reinstate this program? Judy Ernst, I may not say her name right, was a big help in creating the workshops. I have looked at the schedules, monthly schedules. There hasn't been a thing that has to do with crafts for adults in this library. They're in Bethel, they're in Peters, they're in Upper St. Clair. Upper St. Clair created the program at the behest of their participants who said Mount Lebanon has a great crafting program. So we lost a huge piece of attraction in this environment. So Judy was a help in that. I don't know that she's moved on, I'm not part to that, but I have come to the library for different reasons, and because I belong to the first Wednesday, third Wednesday, called Crafters, which is not Crafters, it's knitting and crochet. But that's what I belong to, or I feel I belong to. So that room that we used has not been in use at any time for the second Monday and fourth Monday of the month. It's a total waste of usage. So I'm just a cog in this. I did not gather signatures. I represent, again, a very small group of people who have said, now I go to Upper St. Clair and I pick up my books there. Now I go to Bethel and I pick up my books there. I want to make you aware. I'm not wanting to be offensive. I want to let you know you have lost something. So if it's too late to restore this program, maybe not. No, I had been told there would be a survey in the spring. But at last meeting, I asked Robin about that, and she said it had just been a thought and it was benched. If you don't do surveys, you will not know what the people want. And I don't believe in sitting at home and complaining. I think that we pay our taxes, you spend them. We deserve a bit of attention. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to get some more information on that, and so Robin, was that an actual library program she's talking about, or was that a group that met here?
I mean, we can talk about it after the meeting, but if you want to give me your name and phone number, I can have our associate director who's in charge of programming follow up with you about the programming plan.
Did anybody else have any questions?
Well, that was my question, was whether it was like a group that was meeting in a meeting room or if it was a library program.
I can't tell you the details about the library programs just because I'm not in charge of that. Sharon Bruni is, and I do know that most of the crafting programs were led by Laurie Schultz, who retired last August. We came in, a new librarian came in, and we tend to let the librarians try to balance programming and work to their interests. Laurie is a fanatic crafter, and the newer librarian is not.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, so there is meeting room space available in the library, right? If they're still meeting on their own, is that something?
It's something that Sharon can definitely talk to the group about and see what we can work out.
I have to say, I did attempt to talk to Sharon way back in October, and it did not happen, and I didn't pursue it because I felt that I was being rushed off, but maybe I wasn't, but it was the feeling I got that that's when she said there will be a survey in patient, and there has been no survey. So
I'm sure that was her intention, but as I said, you know, she was trading a new staff member and we were waiting to see what direction she was going to go. So it's absolutely time for her to follow up with you, and I will make sure that she does that.
What type of crafts were?
These were felting, card making, it was all sorts of things. And in the lobby, we would have these flyers and people were picking it up. And it's both a social thing and a library thing, because we still talk about the books you're reading. So this whole thing is gone. And if I may add something, my husband just retired as a volunteer, John Finney, as a volunteer for the genealogy. And I think that if he and Jim Stuber had not had the foresight of saying we need to have people ask for people to step in, which they did, 3 people volunteered, because Jim did it for 30 years, my husband did it for 10, and we decided that we're done. I think that program would have gone out the window as well, because there's no participation from the library administration to follow up on that. It's great to rely on volunteers, but you have to have activity that is supervised. And that was supervised. I will give the name of Judy because she's the only person that I have met who was running some of the workshops. And yes, Lori was very good at that. She did fiber days. There was a lot that was done. And I understand if the new person is not into that, that's understood. But maybe there's another librarian who could have been moved from another activity to say, let's keep this going. I just see my library sort of like hobble instead of thriving. And it's my little window.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll make sure she follows up with you this week.
Yeah, when there are retirements that it sounds like there was a retirement that sort of shifted the program. Yeah, the meeting rooms does say that they can't serve as a permanent or regular meeting location for any non-library sponsored group. Okay. That might not be an
What I would say, ma'am, is that this board, the library board, is more of a policy creating entity as opposed to a program creating entity, which is more under the purview of Robin and her staff. although we do have discussions with Robin about programs being offered to the library and how that's being handled. So we are all aware of this now, so thank you. Robin is aware of it now, and hopefully she will put you in touch with the people you need to be in touch with on her staff so that you can either find a solution, or if that's not possible, at least more clarity on why that program is. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Susan, I know you've been waiting patiently. You're up.
Okay, I have lots to share. We did have a successful plant sale. There were moments throughout that day that each one of us looked at each other and thought, what is happening here? Because we had a whole lot of new volunteers. Some of the ones who have been around for a couple of years weren't here. They were away for the weekend. And that was the group that you didn't even have to follow behind. They knew what was going on. But this group, high energy, wanting to get everything done, and did get everything done, but it, when I got here about 9:20, I was walking in the door and Robin was walking out of the door. So I'm passing Robin and I look and there's just, it was amazing. People talking, plants everywhere, but not in any kind of alphabetical order. And, but by the time the sale actually started, we were just right with it. And I am grateful. I've reached out to each one because one sent me something saying she hoped that I would let her come back. She knew she was struggling, and I said, you were just one of the best. But the day was, the day was just really amazing. And that day continued this past Tuesday and Wednesday after that sale. I was going to Mechanicsburg and I was getting phone calls from people, and you can't really talk and drive on the turnpike, so I'd pull over, not just pull over, but find a safe place where it was allowed, because they were calling, some I had to call because there were about 3 that forgot to pick up their plans. But there were others that were just so complimentary for what the Friends did on behalf of the library, and they were saying for the community as well, because they got begonias that they've had years in the past. Those begonias were as good at the end of the summer as they were at the beginning of the summer. I had people calling, asking, somebody contacted the library and then it funneled to me. Where do they go to buy these plants? So the grower was recognized and will have, generated new business and things like that. So we also had a different, the grower was the same, but this year we had some ceramic things. Mary Caesar had donated. She's a ceramicist or ceramics person. And her work is very clever. And we had painted birdhouses this year that were also made by a local wood crafter. That also call himself a wood maker. And we had local artists paint some, and then we had volunteers paint some. And they were all just kind of amazing and sold. So the profit on the birdhouses was $380, which is a lot for little birdhouses, I think. So we sold them at about $35 a piece. And the money breakdown on that, and this is accurate, allowing a little bit of wiggle room, because the dill did not survive at the farm, so any dill we ordered we did not get. So we took that money back. We didn't pay for that dill, but then we had to run to another local farmer. So it's maybe 15 cents here, it's maybe $1.50 there, it's maybe $5. So this is as close as we're gonna get with math. Because Bob sold down in the Stiff District, his parsley was $2.50 versus $3.25. So that's how we get to this. Total amount of plants ordered, $7,621. What we owed the grower after addition and subtraction was $5,116. So the profit there was $2,505 plus $380 for the birdhouses. And then $107 for Mary Caesar's things. Again, we had really good community support. I can't break that out because that's sold as part of the overall. I have to say the numbers of donations from the community get less and less each year. I think that's just a fact of gardening life. I think people who garden still garden, but we have fewer who are gardening and donating their plants. I want to say we had 75 plants donated. That's a really nice number, but, and I couldn't give you a real number for years ago, but I remember walking down this hallway where tables this size were all down the wall, covered with plants, and the carpeting underneath with plastic covered with plants. I haven't seen that for the past 3 years, so we're kind of holding steady, but it's fewer than before. But I think that's, I'm not going to say it's always a result of COVID. I just think there are fewer younger people doing all of that.
Maybe, that probably accounts for a lot of it, but maybe next year, the friends along with us in the library, everyone else just need to do some brainstorming on how to get the word out for people who have never done that, like, you know.
And that's not, we have talked about it, we have reached out, but not on a big scale. Mm-hmm. The group that does donate, they're well aware, and people in the community know she donates. But we did reach out to the gardeners who are on the tour this year. Mm-hmm. And I think 2 of them responded, but maybe 1 actually did. So we probably do need to get a little more bigger than life to get that word out. But we're very happy with the results. We'll definitely do it again. I like to have a meeting of, what do I call them, lessons learned. So, you know, if we had trouble with our alphabet, how do we work on that? Or, you know, just things like whatever seemed to be the stumbling block, how do we make that not happen? If we had to tell somebody 15 times, how do we not have that happen again? Just kind of, and we did reach out to the people who weren't here and said, boy, did we miss you. So I think that's all I have. The Friends annual, that's all I have on that subject, but the Friends annual meeting is tomorrow evening. The Friends have a Friends annual meeting every year, and it's going to be in the Learning Lab at 7. I did go to the PCBL last week. It was a very good meeting. A lot of things happening there. They're getting ready for the PALA event that's in the fall. Just talking about how the PCBL is going to support that. And I think that's everything.
Did you get all the plants sold before the rain hit that day? I think you would have, right?
Well, we were pretty close. At the very end of it, people did not all pick up. Mm-hmm. And seriously, when I would call them, they said, not only did they forget about coming to pick them up, they forgot they had ordered them. There were 3 people in that category that were just kind of vague about it. But I think the rain did not, I don't think rain hinders gardeners.
It did in this case a bit. It was pouring so hard that at about 1:15, I made everybody come inside because the volunteers outside were just frozen solid. And there was nobody walking because the rain was so heavy. So we just moved everything into the vestibule and then sold out of the Friends bookseller desk for the next couple of days until whatever wasn't sold, the
Yeah.
gardeners took. But we did end up selling a lot of it. It's just, that rain at the end of the day was pretty rough.
I think we sold the 3 hanging baskets, and we gave the gardeners who garden on this premises maybe 2 flats of begonias and maybe a flat of,
I had a couple of flats of begonias in my office still that I ended up giving.
yeah, and I think that's the ones, they were the ones that I was
Yeah.
thinking of, and that person felt she had gotten her plants, so if that's the way she felt, then I'm sure she got her plants, and they must just have been extra.
My wife April bought like 6 and said to tell you that they were flourishing.
Great.
So, success story there.
Yes, yes.
That's all for you.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thanks. Okay, our commission liaison is not here today, is that correct?
Yes, but I have a report from her.
Yeah, of course.
The Friends meeting that's tomorrow night, is that open to all friends, or is that just?
It is open to all friends. It's open to all friends, that is the truth. If you're not a friend and you came, we would not turn you away.
If you've given $15 in the past year to the library, you're a friend of the library.
Yeah, that's how that works. We, the friends are responsible to have, the Friends Board, we must have an annual meeting that includes all of the friends. But we're happy to see anybody who comes.
I wasn't sure if you wanted board members to.
We used to have a board liaison, when Corey Flynn was on them.
Yeah,
We haven't had one for a while to the Friends Board, but yeah, it's a great idea.
it used to also be tied to an event here in the building, so.
The annual meeting, she means.
Yes, yes, and so we would have the annual meeting, and then there might be music, or there might be,
The Rocky Liar one year.
yeah, it's, but then we had, you know, the COVID thing, and then people kind of really don't come out, but we still do it. And this year we were thinking maybe we could incorporate it with the library's Midsummer Festival. But again, that date didn't coincide with any time that the Friends could get together, so we just, it's not that we wing it, it's just that this year it didn't work out that we could have entertainment. So, but please come to that, because that'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, Robin, so you have a commission liaison report.
Yes, this is on behalf of Ann Swider Wilson. I would love it if you would tell everyone that this year we commissioned a study of the main park and the recreation center. And Holiday, I can forward you her email if that's helpful. Our goal for the study is to understand how we can make the park and the building more welcome and more usable while meeting the needs of our residents. We welcome comments on the initial results of the study. The consultants will be outside the pool on opening day this Saturday from 12 to 3 to hear comments, and an update on the project is online under our magazine website, which is lebomag, LEBOMAG.com. People can feel free to email me as well with thoughts and comments. That's all she had.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Up next is the president's report. I have done nothing but look at policies since our last meeting. We're gonna be getting to that soon enough, so I don't have the president's report this month. And we can move straight on to the director's report.
Okay, I have several things to cover. First, I would like to mention that as a new perk to our Pennsylvania Library Association membership, we get a free membership to Amazon Business Prime. So that's huge. It's going to save us $499 a year. We've already signed up under the new Pennsylvania Library Association moniker. So that's a great savings and a great use for our Pennsylvania Library Association institutional membership. Because in the bylaws, I am required to let you know of any staff changes. We do have she was formerly a part-time circulation clerk, and then she moved to Florida for the winters. So she became like a sub when she is here in the summer, but she will not be returning. Her name is Lynn Bain. She was, she worked at the library for longer than I did. I think she's been here 12 years or so. So she's a lot of fun. We're gonna miss her.
will that position like maybe be filled, or she was just
No,
sort of grand?
it's not really a position,
Yeah,
it was
okay, I
just
gotcha.
like filling holes in the,
Yes.
when people were on vacation and that kind of
You
thing.
got it.
We've had several events the last few weeks, so it's been incredibly busy at the library as always, but these were 3 very big events to happen in a span of 3 weeks. On May 1st, we had the Michael Pollan event. I know a couple of the board members were able to attend, and I appreciate that so much. It was a really wonderful event. Everybody seemed to enjoy it a lot. We had some really great comments, so we were very pleased with that. I doubt we're going to have anyone of his caliber or for several years, just because it's incredibly expensive to bring an author to the library. So we had some extra money from the COVID years when we didn't have anybody come. So that's pretty much all spent up, and until we rebuild things, we're gonna have to be looking at more modestly priced offers.
You should save up till my last year on the board, and then we'll talk.
Oh, okay. The plant sale, Susan already mentioned, great event. The funny thing, the Marilyn Pitts, who interviewed Michael Pollan, was also in room A at the plant sale all day long helping out. So she's an amazing library volunteer, as well as a brilliant speaker and journalist and personality. So we're lucky to have her. But yeah, the plant sale went really well. It was a lot of work for volunteers during a week when the library staff was not available to help out very much. So you all did a fantastic job. And then on last Monday, the 13th, we were closed from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the PC deployment, where we got all new library computers throughout the building. That went pretty much without a hitch. So that was very nice. And if you have seen any of the new computers at the library, you'll see our screensaver that says that the Regional Asset District has provided all the funds for those. So that was an incredible gift from them. As far as funding for libraries, the state budget is in the works right now. They're working on it, but Christy Bucher at the Pennsylvania Library Association urges everyone to contact their state representatives and senators, not only to share the information on the ask, which I shared either at the March or April meeting, but I have copies here, and I also put it in Govenda under documents, advocacy, and fundraising. So please share the ask and the fact that we need a budget to be on time. So let's see what else. The other things, I have a couple of librarians who have been attending trainings. So the first, this was before the April meeting, I just didn't get it on the agenda. Eric Meisberger attended Eric attended the Public Library Association conference in Columbus. That is a national conference. The Public Library Association is a subset of the American Library Association. It's the chapter that deals specifically with public libraries. So it's usually a really vibrant conference, and everything is really applicable to what we do. So we get a lot out of it. So he was there for the whole time. He said it was an excellent experience. I was delighted to attend. And he gave me a list of all the sessions he took, and they include anti-racist reader services, readers advisory and AI, how to say the hard things, which is crisis communication, debunking misinformation about trans people and identities, big idea presentation. I'm not gonna read all of them. Changing subject headings for more inclusive library, turning the page on period poverty, and rethinking Dewey. So a lot of programs on equity and classifying the collection to make it more browsable and approachable and applicable to all of our patrons. And then recently, I don't have a report from her yet, but Jane Miller, our newest librarian, attended the Pennsylvania Academy of Leadership Studies, which is put on by the Pennsylvania Library Association. It's a 3-day conference in Harrisburg. I attended the Directors Institute version of that a couple of years ago, and it's just a really great intensive 3 days with a small group of about 30 other people attending. So you get to make some really good relationships with peers from across the state. The PALS participants all work on a long-term project. So she'll be working on a project with her group over the next year, and they have a mentor. So there are 6 or 7 mentors that are assigned to the attendees. So each mentor has 3 or 4 people that they check in with on a regular basis. And I felt as a new librarian, this would be a really important thing for her to attend. So she did, and she seemed to get a lot out of it. So I think that's all I've had for my program. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Robin about any of the things she just went through? Okay, thank you, Robin. Committee reports. Again, the governance committee is going to push all their stuff to new business, which we will be getting to soon. And Anthony's not here, so the holiday to the finance committee, holiday or Suzanne, is there any updates from the finance committee?
The only thing that I'm aware of is Anthony shared a document.
Fundraising. I would say finance, fundraising. I apologize, holiday. Go ahead.
Okay. He shared a document with us that showed us that most of the shifts for the garden tour are filled. It does look like and this is maybe somewhat dated information. It does look like we maybe need 5 more people. But other than that, all the homes are covered with at least 2 people, except for some of the shifts near the end of the day.
Okay.
I have a question. Did we ever decide what the board's raffle basket should be or how we're managing that?
I got an email from Marina that I have not had a chance to respond to yet, so I'm so sorry. That's probably on me.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Did that email go just to
It went to her, it went to
Okay.
you, Monica, because I
volunteered
found
to do
in
that,
some
yeah.
old board minutes that you were in charge of the basket, so.
Yeah. So I am in charge, and sorry, we're still wrapping up the semester.
No, you're fine.
So,
You're growing a human, so it's okay.
One, you've got time. 2, is that something you still want to take care of?
Yes, yeah, my semester is over, but my paperwork for the end of the semester is not over until the end of next week. So,
Let us know
Yeah,
what you
if
need or
we
want
can
from
help,
us.
yeah.
We will make it happen.
Yeah.
We will make it as easy for you as possible
Yes.
once we have
Exactly.
that sounds great. Thank you.
I sent an email and I was thinking about themes and I wasn't sure if this one worked or not, but I was thinking of promoting, what do we call it? Uptown Lebo, like going to all of the vendors and making a basket that either contained their product or had a gift card or something like that. And then while we're asking them for that, hitting them up for a sponsorship for the program, that kind of thing. But I don't know if we've done that, I don't know if that's successful.
Well, most of the Uptown vendors have already donated a lot to us for summer reading and for the fundraiser, so I don't know.
It would be
I should
nice
ask
then
for
for
donations
us
again.
then to go to them and buy gift cards
That would
and
be
merchandise to put in as kind of a thank you.
So that's what we did.
Especially if you tell them, like, we're
Yeah.
library board members, thank you, we're supporting you by doing this.
My first year on the board, that's exactly what we did. And it worked out fine, the basket.
Yeah.
I think Marina actually assembled it for us.
Yeah,
We
she's
bought all
happy
the
to do
stuff,
that.
and it worked out great.
I think you buy the
actually-
sale thing for us. I think it starts June 1st, right? We have it for the whole month. The
The Games of Chance, yeah.
Games of Chance
I brought it
lessons, yes.
tonight, and I told her I'd give
Yeah,
it
I think
to
it
you.
starts June 1st, so.
I actually really like the idea of going to the businesses that actually already donated and
Yes.
saying, thank you, we're gonna buy stuff for a basket
Yeah.
of board store. And
Marina can absolutely help you get a list.
That's a
like,
great
you
idea.
knew where I was going, Robin. I would like
Yeah.
to see that list. Should I email her or will you be letting her know we'd like to see that?
You can email her and
I
I
will.
will also mention it to her tomorrow.
You write that down so I don't forget. I will email her. And you're sure that list is probably lengthy enough for us to, like, there's enough businesses on there that it would make
That
sense.
every
for
board
them to do
member-
a plan.
I would think so.
I have a, old gift certificate from La Pomponnais. Is that still in Uptown Lebo? La Pomponnais,
No
Yeah, I
idea.
think so.
I'd be willing to donate that.
Okay.
Where do I mail it
If
to?
it's,
Well, is Marina gonna actually put together the
She
basket?
can.
I'll
Yeah,
drop it off at the library.
yeah.
thank you, Suzanne. Okay. I think we can move on to old business, which is the library space planning project update.
Oh, yeah, did I have that?
We sure did.
Oh my goodness.
Is there an update?
Not really. I mean, wait,
Okay.
I didn't put that PDF or anything in because I don't really have a whole lot to report. We've met once with Draw Collective since I talked to you last. And they are setting up a meeting now with the children's library because that's the first part of the project is going to be updating things in the children's library. So they're gonna meet with the librarians to see what they want to do. So we're really still in the very early planning stages. And yeah, as soon as I have anything of substance to report, I absolutely will do that. Even if it's, mid-June and we're not meeting, I'll send out an email or something. But as of right now, we just don't really have much going on.
I probably asked this at a previous meeting, but is there even like a loose timeline for this project yet?
Not a timeline as such. There's a sort of order of operations, but there are no times attached to it, really. We do hope to have the planning done by the end of this year so that we can start actually making things happen in early next year. But that's as much of a timeline as we have at this point.
A little bit of time.
A little bit. The Draw Collective is planning that's part of their charge is to create a timeline for us for the stages of the program or the project.
Did anyone else have any old business they needed to present? That will allow us to move on to new business and policies. So I will pass these around.
Are these under policy updates 2024 in the?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at.
Sure I have.
Yeah, they're all available. And Holiday, if you would rather have a printed out copy and don't want to print all those papers yourself, you can just pick one up at the library. I have plenty. Just let
Okay,
me know and I'll put one upstairs for you.
so here's what we're doing with these. We have, out of the policies that the governance committee has agreed to work on this year, we have 4 that we are ready to present to the board at large. And on the Govenda website or in this packet, which we just passed out, you will see current versions, redline versions, and new proposed versions of those 4 policies, which are the display policy, fiscal authority policy, patron behavior policy, and library program policy. The display policy is the one that's brand new, correct, Robin?
Yes.
That one you will not see a redline version or an existing version because there isn't one. That is a brand new policy.
That's right.
So we're presenting these today with the thought, and our timeline for this is you will have a full 2 months to look over these. I believe that's correct because there's no July meeting, right?
Right, so my idea is that, and I kind of explained it on this front page here, that please review them within the next month. If you could do it within the next month, ideally, and send any questions or comments to the governance committee so that they have time to respond before the July meeting, either to meet and make changes or, and mid-June, I will send these all to Phil Weiss, who is our legal counsel over the municipality, to review. And that will give us a chance to incorporate any changes before we send to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, basically Suzanne and Holiday and Anthony, who's not here, who haven't really seen these yet. If you have questions or Marcia, although she's seen one of them, but yeah, the rest of them. If you have questions or concerns, you don't have to wait till July. You can email all three of us, you can email just me. You can start asking questions, figuring out, you know, any concern, relaying any concerns you might have, any of that, feel free. The goal would be to sort out any sort of big picture problems the board might have in advance, so we don't get stuck here for 5 hours in July. However, if it gets to July and we all need to be happy, this needs to pass by majority vote. So we are able to discuss at the meeting in July if necessary, but the hope is that any concerns or questions the board has at large can be dealt with via email prior to that. Does that sound correct, fellow governance committee members?
Indeed.
Okay. So, I was gonna try to give so again, the display policy was from scratch.
It's basically mirrored off of the program policy, parts of the program
Yeah,
policy.
briefly explain that so they know
Yeah,
how the
sure.
challenges needed to match.
So, as you know, our collection development policy has a section for statements of concern or requests for reconsideration. So if there's somebody who doesn't like or agree with something in our library collection of physical materials, they can say, okay, I have a problem with this book. Here's why. Here's what I want you to do about it. So we decided that we should have policies. We should have our library program policy reflect that as well, because we do have people that have problems with some of our programs. They are opposed to them for whatever reason. I remember a few years ago, there was a historical program about Civil War flags, and a patron took offense to that program. So this would be an example of that. And then the display, we have a lot of displays upstairs, especially, you know, we're coming into Pride Month. We have displays about various cultures and personal identities and that sort of thing. So we want people to have an outlet to let us know when they have a concern about something that's happening in the library that we can uniformly address. So the display policy and the program policy now have sections about how to address statements of concern that are pretty much identical to the request for reconsideration procedure in our collection development policy. All of the policies for the library are available to the public on our website. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, there's a link to all of the policies. So if you want to look at the collection development policy, that is there. The other policies, the current version is attached in this packet.
In complete layman's terms, if someone has a complaint, we're making it one process to
Yes,
deal with that complaint.
yes, and
whether it's a book, some other type of material, a program, a display.
And we're streamlining our request for reconsideration, our old request for reconsideration form into a statement of concern form. And it will be able to be used for all of these things. So that's an inside procedural thing that we just have to do.
So that was a big part of those particular policies. The fiscal authority policy, it was mostly a matter of updating to get it up to date with how the library currently manages its finances. A lot changed over the course of COVID in that area and didn't go back. So we just
Well, and it hadn't been updated in 20
yeah,
years.
it was
24 years.
it was
pardon.
drastically outdated, and then some policies changed during COVID that made it even more outdated. So
Yes.
we wanted to get it in line with how the library actually deals with its finances, and we think we've done that.
And Marcia and Bob mostly worked on that one and then shared it with the governance committee because Marcia and Bob are the finance committee.
Yes. And then the patron behavior policy is mostly just updates. We shifted some of the ages of what children are allowed to be in the library unattended.
Right.
So some minor stuff, but we basically freshened it up.
The unattended child policy was updated last year. So the
this was
main
matching
thing
that.
was to update that, and then we made some small changes throughout also.
So
Just
not
wording.
major changes in the patron behavior policies. A lot of these policies there are, like if you fix something or change something in one, you have to fix it in another because they
Or some others, yeah.
cross-reference each other a lot. So a lot of times if you see something, they'll be like, well, why did they fix this to say leaving a child under 12 instead of 8? It's because last year we voted to change the unattended children rule in a completely different policy. Monica or Kristen, is there anything I missed that
No,
we should let the board at large know?
I would just say too, some of the changes you might see, it's because the world actually changed, like way, you know, nobody's, the amount of people coming in the library who are not gonna have a cell phone, like it's, you can't say cell phones are prohibited, like things like that where the technology has changed. We
did
tried to,
remove
try
the
to-
line about beepers.
yes,
It wasn't
yes.
beepers.
We also spent a good 15 minutes talking about vaping one day. And
Yes.
whether it needed to be specifically clarified in the policy that it wasn't allowed, so.
So we do try to, we're trying to modernize some of those things too.
And Robin, just to clarify, for me, new on the board, am I correct in assuming that any youth under the age of 18 needs a parent or guardian to authorize their obtaining of a library card?
That's our current policy, yes.
So interestingly, that's tied into the one we're still working on.
That's one of the things we're discussing, yes.
What's the name of that policy?
Confidentiality of library records policy and the lending policy are both, I think, and those are two that we would have to concurrently update.
Yeah, I think the one that actually covers like who can register for the card. The confidential.
Yeah, we've been talking about also, who can access a person's record and that kind of thing.
Basically, Suzanne, the next policy on our plate that is already on the agenda to be dealt with this year involves exactly that.
And it's sticky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and as Robin said, specifically whether, and yeah, right, like if a 16-year-old checks out a book, are her parents entitled to the information that she checked out that book? Or if a wife checks out a book, is her husband entitled? And who's able to pick up books for people and who's able to, it's all part of this, what's that policy again, Robin? The confidentiality of records, the confidentiality of records policy.
yes.
It's on our list. We were hoping to have it with this group of policies, but as Robin said, it's proving stickier.
Well, it's.
We're
yeah.
waiting, we're currently wading through it. We decided to put it aside to get these done first. And once these are hopefully approved in July, we will be going back to that.
And can I
Try
just
to
say,
figure it out.
this packet represents months of work on behalf of the governance committee. So I just want to thank you for all of your help in making this happen, because just to update 4 policies, I mean, we've probably put, I don't even know how many hours between the work I've done, you know, prepping for meetings and then the conversations we've had and the emails, and it was a lot. So thank you.
Nothing goes unthought, like, we're very methodical and thoughtful as we like literally parse through every word that's
Right.
in there
And then we fight
making
about
it
grammar and
meaningful. Yeah, and
punctuation
then
for
we,
the next
after
hour,
that, but
That's your.
yeah, but that's
Okay,
our,
it's just
yeah,
me, but
that's the fun part.
So if you read through and wonder like, why is every single mention of the word library capitalized? That one right there.
okay, so if you have any questions, email us and we will discuss and hopefully approve in July. Any questions about that from anyone? Holiday, sound good? Zan, sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do we have any other business at all for this meeting?
As far as, this isn't exactly business, but it is probably something I should report. And it may, I did add in another potential policy onto our list because of it. One of our employees, let me rephrase. A couple of months ago, there was a minor instance of theft at the library, a bicycle. The police were notified.
When you say minor, it's like a minor was involved or it was a minor?
Both,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, in all senses of the word.
Yes.
Okay.
So, the police asked to access our surveillance cameras to see if they could figure out who did the crime. I gave my permission. One of our employees showed them the cameras relevant to that situation. The person was apprehended and charged, and now that employee has to go to court and testify, which that employee is not thrilled about. So we would just like to review, the ALA has a lot of information and a lot of public libraries have surveillance camera policies as far as how you can use them, because it is another element of patron privacy, like to let police know whether or not someone is in the library, how important is that, and when should you protect them and that kind of thing. So our procedure has always been that if the police are investigating something that happened at our library, we tend to let them view very specific parts of the camera just based on, you know, what they're looking for. But we would like to look that all over, run it by legal, talk to the board, and just make sure that we're doing things the way we should be doing to protect our patrons, to protect ourselves, to make sure everybody's as safe as possible.
Do you want to create a policy for that?
We at least need to look at it and consider it.
Why does the employee need to testify? I mean, evidence has been turned over, so what is the employee, is this just to say?
As this is a public meeting, I'm not going to speculate.
Okay.
I really have no idea. He was summoned, there's a subpoena. You can't, a court officer came to the library to deliver it. So, yeah. It was, as we said, we thought it was a pretty minor thing, and that's where they're at, so.
Okay, I don't mind speculating in a public meeting, so I'm thinking, I guess they could ask, you know, was this library footage from so-and-so a date, and were you the employee who turned it over?
I think that's
and
really
can you
about
authenticating.
authenticating
Authenticating
that's exactly
evidence.
right, that it would
Yeah.
be 2 minutes of authenticating evidence.
Authenticating
Right, you're
evidence.
a lawyer,
Yeah.
right?
That
Should just
sounds
turn to
right.
you, but-
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more they could ask the employee, because I
No,
don't think
I
they
would
know
guess.
any more than that, and.
Where do you keep the surveillance footage? Who has access? They're gonna ask, it's gonna be evidence authentication would be my guess.
Well, that
That's
Yeah.
also.
sounds like a super fun new policy to tackle, and what is the organization that you says, what is the organization that you said already has outlined some guides for this?
The
for
American
libraries?
Library Association has guidelines, and there are, if you type public library surveillance camera policy or something into Google, a bunch come up. So we have, you know, models we can look at. As you know, our library follows the right to read statement and the American Library Association Bill of Rights, and both of those documents have some references to patron privacy, and we want to make sure that we're following those.
Interesting, add it to the list.
We've already done so.
I mean, it kind of flows, right, from the one.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Robin?
Would changes to that affect this particular situation? It sounds like.
It's hard to say.
Maybe not, okay.
For instance, if somebody today, for example, there was a situation where the police wanted to find out the address of one of our patrons because the patron called to complain about another patron. We had nothing to do with it.
Wait, this is something that actually happened?
Today, yes.
Okay.
But the police officer wanted to follow up with one of the parties, so asked for us to get into our system and get their address. And I told him no, because we don't do that without a warrant.
Yeah.
That's the EI network controls our operating system. They control patron records basically throughout the county, and they will not share that information. And as the library director, I'm the only one that could give it. And I choose to not do that under pretty much any circumstances without a warrant.
That's one.
But the video footage, we haven't asked for one.
The video footage has nothing to do with the
Right.
EI network. There may have been one instance since I've been here where I don't want to, I remember the situation. It was a person of interest to the local police, and they wanted a lot of information about their library use. So I think we requested a subpoena or a warrant in that situation.
So-
What's the word I'm looking, is it warrant?
It's warrant.
So would this new policy cover that type of thing as well? Do you envision it covering all of these?
I mean, as, you know,
So just surveillance footage is a little
There-
narrow if you're gonna do a
there-
policy.
there are so many different nuances to each of these situations. It's hard to have one policy that's just black and white and covers everything perfectly. But I think general guidelines for staff would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And if we could make sure that we're mirroring the ALA ideals and the EI network procedures and kind of finding that happy medium.
Then it also gives them that, the officer standing there in front of you and you're like, the
Exactly.
police are here and want this.
Exactly.
I can go to this policy and say, I can't
Yes.
do this
And we
without
do
a
train
warrant.
staff that, you know, if the police are asking for something, I'm the only person that can give that information. But, you know, like you said.
It's still
you're
scary. The police are
brand new
standing there in
little
front of you.
23-year-old clerk and there's a big tall police
Yeah.
officer with his, you know, uniform on.
Yeah.
Wanting information, you just give it to
Yeah.
him. So. Yeah, and like I said, our confidentiality of library records policy already covers the patron records and that sort of thing, but surveillance camera, that's just us, our building, and we just wanna look at it.
Okay, that makes sense. And as far as when we would do that, will the governance committee take a break now until these are approved by the whole board and then resume after? July, is that the plan?
I mean, unless there's something that we need to do to
Right.
prep them for the final
Okay,
vote in July, then yes,
okay.
I won't bother you for a
No,
month or so.
it's totally fine. I just want to wrap my head around,
Yes,
once we get these approved, hopefully in July,
yes.
we can work out any questions
Yes.
anybody has before then we could start meeting again prior to August.
So, yeah, so the timeline for presenting policies is May, and then if we have more in September,
Okay, we have,
to vote in July and November.
Okay.
I'm sure you've told us that a million times.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for clarifying.
That's okay. I'm actually presenting on our,
That's right.
so dorky. It's called the policy procedure, and it's about our schedule of policy revision. And
Where
we're
is this
presenting on it at
presentation
the
at?
Pennsylvania Library Association conference in Harrisburg this
Are you gonna talk about like vapes and Oxford Commons and stuff?
I'm definitely mentioning the capital L for library.
Very serious about
I know.
my
and
capital L. It's the library. It's not a library. It's our library.
That's right.
Proper noun. On that, I'm adjourning this meeting.
Okay, 7:59, all right.
You may stop the
Holiday, you're
recording.
welcome to stay on. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Holiday, if you'd like to take part in the advocacy moment, I'll let you go